I'd like to think I'm a person who generally believes in mindfulness, respect, and sportsmanship. But as it relates to baseball, I see absolutely nothing wrong with a bat flip. And to make my point, I'm going to need to dive a little bit deeper here.
People getting offended by bat flips is so silly. It's just like, I'm not sorry. I'm not really sorry. It's part of our game. Everybody does it. If somebody's going to throw at me because of it, I got thrown at in the past this season for bat flipping. I clearly didn't learn my lesson. So, if you're offended by that, I don't care.
You see, baseball has always been a sport where showing little to no emotion is cultural. It has always been encouraged. That approach has somehow just been ingrained in players and traditions over decades and now even centuries. I'm not really sure why it started or how it started, or mostly how it has persisted across all this time. I mean, in comparison, think about a couple different sports. In basketball, you come up the floor, you dunk on somebody. You generally have some visible show of emotion, of excitement with yourself or teammates right afterwards. In football, you score a touchdown. The player who gets in the end zone usually has some type of reaction, and teammates are generally involved. It's almost always a given. In hockey, when a team and a player scores a meaningful goal, he or she usually celebrates with said teammates. In fact, the kids call it a celly. Let's switch gears here to a sport like tennis. Whether it's individually or playing as part of a pair, you win a big set, you're probably going to throw a fist pump in there, right? It's just going to happen. And in golf, the most individual sport there is, these celebrations are not typically choreographed, and a lot of times they're not even coordinated very well. But in golf, they even happen, and that's supposed to be the ultimate, proper sport. But going back to baseball players, I mean, you can even see them hit a go-ahead grand slam in a game and just flat out put their head down. Don't show you any type of happiness or feelings, and they run that 360-foot square around the pitcher, again, without even cracking a smile. Now, granted, there might be some high fives at the end when the batter reaches home plate, and maybe a couple more in the dugout surrounded by more teammates, but the point is that everything on the outside is so much toned down, as opposed to how these players are truly feeling in the moment, in the heat of the moment, on the inside. And going back to the topic of this video, I mean, the level of criticism is pretty intense. If you think about this, what a batter does with their bat, right, after they have launched a for sure home run over a fence, think about that. What they do with their bat is being judged here. And apparently to flip it violates some kind of unwritten protocol because we are apparently trying to protect something. What in the heck are we trying to protect? Is it showing up the pitcher? I mean, I realize you don't want to get somebody mad who can throw a 100-mile-an-hour baseball at you, but let's not forget the batter standing at home plate also has a wooden weapon in their hands. To me, you know what the ultimate rub-it-in-your-face type moment is of baseball? Is hitting a home run and then trotting that unnecessary, perfect squared circle around the pitcher while he rots in embarrassment behind the mound. Now, I'm not saying here that we should eliminate running the bases after a homer. That's silly. It's part of the game. It needs to happen. But if you're saying keep celebrations out of baseball, then I'm saying, yeah, we should probably eliminate the home run trot. That's just as bad as a bat flip. So here's what it ultimately comes down to for me. So long as any celebration is classy and timely and not generally directed towards an opponent, I mean, I rarely have a problem with it. In any sport, all of this generally works universally. Let's break that down real quick, though, just so we're 100% clear on the three aspects at hand here. Classy. I define this as anything appropriate for audiences of all ages. And as I've become a dad, I now realize that kids are watching and ultimately emulating everything. So if you don't mind your child replicating said celebration, then generally we're pretty good, I would think. But before you tell me, hey Brody, what about little leaguers bat flipping? Would you be okay with that? My response is this. If a little leaguer is developed enough to know for sure that they just hit a baseball over a fence and they want to go out there and flip a bat in celebration, then they're also probably developed enough to understand when and when is not the right time to do something like that, given the situation. Let's go to timeliness. I mean, we already have an issue in sports with shorter attention spans of viewers, as well as length of games across the sporting spectrum. So as long as you are not disrupting the normal flow and pace of any game, again, I really have zero issues here. In fact, the more creative and thoughtful that you can get in a given short time span, I think you get more bonus points for that. That makes it even more impressive to do something fun and creative and quick to get on with the game. And last, but certainly not least, not directing any of your celebrations right at the opponent. Which brings me back to the bat flip, because yeah, it might be a little flamboyant to toss the bat after you hit a homer and you know it right off contact, but it's not like you're tossing it at the pitcher. It's not like you're tossing it at the opponent's dugout. And yeah, you might be admiring the flight path of the baseball. You might watch it for a second, but that's not looking at the pitcher. Again, that's not looking directly in the opponent dugout as you make your way towards first base. So I really don't see the bat flip as a direct celebration towards an opponent. It's almost like in hockey, something you never see, a skater score a goal and then go celebrate towards or right in front of or at the goalie or right in front of or at the opponent's bench. It doesn't happen there, and I don't think it's happening with the bat flip in baseball. I mean, look, a pitcher's feelings in baseball are very much like a batter's feelings in this sport. They are only bound to get hurt in a matter of time, because baseball is widespread a game of failure. So why in these moments of success are we hiding the celebrations? I really feel like it's time to break that mold. The game needs to break that mold if it wants to speak to future generations of players and fans.